Coffee time. Who's coming? That was worth the wait. Well, good evening. What a great day we've had today. Starting off in the weekend, it's been a beautiful blue sky today, and probably mid-20s or something. So perfect weather. Got a lot of things done around the place, particularly in the shed. You may notice that I'm fairly well lit in here now. I've got a light there, which is on a tripod, and it's more of a halo light type of a thing. But just for working in here and doing stuff, I installed a couple of fluorescent lights in here today. So I've got them so they're movable. So I've just got them on cords so I can plug them in and move them around at will. And that's the way that I really want it in here for the time being, because this shed is going to be more of a work shed. And what I mean by a work shed is that, I can polish the cars in here, or I can clean them without being outside. Because particularly with black cars, they're really difficult to clean in sunlight. I mean, you shouldn't clean them in sunlight anyway, because you just can't see what's going on. So these lights, I've only got 2 in here so far, just to see how they go. And it's quite a small shed, so I think that if I put another 2 in, that will definitely do. But I really like how it's brightened up the place, literally. And I did a lot of cleaning in here as well, because this place just gets so much dust accumulate in here, because I've got things that are dirty in here, like mowers. So it's difficult to have, mowers, things that attract sawdust, like sanders, saws, and a black car. So not a very good combination. But what I'd like to do down the track, and everyone has this is what I'd love to do. I would like to have a shed that you just park the cars in and you don't actually do any work in there. They're just physically there to store the cars out of the weather, because we do get hail at times here in southeast Queensland. I think it was Halloween last year, a really big hailstorm ripped through the place. It went around us, fortunately, but unfortunately in a few suburbs around us, they literally had hail go through the roof and through the ceiling and into the homes. So yeah, not a great thing to have. So yeah, when you've got like 4 or 5 cars laying around and you've only got space under cover for 2 at the best of times, it'd be really good to have a larger shed, one that you can store things, and when you have to put another couple under cover, you can put them in here. But I really want this place to be a bit of a workshop. I've got the really good Makita saw behind me, and I did mention yesterday that I usually go for Bosch and DeWalt and Milwaukee, but as you can see there, that Makita saw, I've had that for about 5 or 6 years now, and it looks really new and shiny and everything, but it has done so much work and has cut so much stuff, and it's still on the original blade. I can't fathom how I've done that on the original blade. But I do have a Bosch one as well, and that's on one of those portable stands that you can move around a lot easier. So I tend to use that a lot as well. But I want to make this bench into a proper bench. It's got wheels on the bottom, and I want to put proper fences on either side so I can use this for a lot more detailed cutting, because I do have a big project coming up that I've been preparing for, and that is building a new front fence. And it's going to be quite a high fence. As you probably saw in my mowing video yesterday, we live on quite a busy road, and it doesn't really bother me because I'm not here most of the time, I'm at work. But it can be very loud during peak hour. So it'd just be good to, get a fence up, a period correct sort of a fence as well. I'm not going to put anything crazy modern up, but it is going to be high, and it is going to be focused on keeping noise out, and plants and trees and stuff will do that as well. So a bit of a combination of everything. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've cut down the old fence and filled in there was a pipe fence, and horrible thing. And I've kind of begrudgingly just kept it there, thinking, what am I going to do with this? Because it had a huge concrete plinth that I'd mow up against, and I've decided to keep the concrete plinth and build the fence to complement it, and cover the concrete plinth with plants, ground hugging sort of plants, so you won't really see the plinth, because I thought it'd just cost so much money and labour and drama just to get that concrete plinth out, because you never know what is lurking beneath. There's just so many other services. I remember putting a fence in once and taking out an old one in this street, a few doors down actually, and we cut a Telstra phone line, and it cost a fair bit. It cost a few $100s or something back then, like 20 years ago, to fix it. But I don't really want to do that again, because a few $100s back then probably would turn into a few $1,000s in 2021. So that's something that I'm really excited about, and I've got all the groundwork, so to speak, laid for that. I've just been trying to buy a demolition hammer. I borrowed one, but I really want to have one for myself, and it's too difficult to go backwards and forwards borrowing that one. So yeah, I've gone to the tool place a few times, and they've said probably don't need to order it. We just get them in every few days anyway. So I've been in there twice now, and every time they've sold out. So the joke's on me there. I probably should order one off them and say, hey, put one aside for me. So yeah, it's pretty funny though, because the last time I picked up anything large from Total Tools was that saw, and it came in a huge box, and the only car that I had at the time that would have fitted it in, I had a Honda Integra hatchback, but it had a really weird, you had to pull things up and over the lip, and I remember buying the blue cabinet to my right, which you've probably seen before, and that came in a few pieces, and it came in the Honda Integra, and I sort of hurt my back getting that out of the Honda. So the only other car that I had was with a hatchback. No, I didn't have a Ute at the time. The only other car that I had with a hatchback was my Mercedes. So I pull up at Total Tools in this little black Mercedes with AMG stuff on it and everything. And the guy came out the front, you know, with this big Makita drop saw, and he says, "Well, this is the first time I've ever put a Makita drop saw in the back of a car like this." And I said, "Yeah, well, get used to it. There'll be a lot more stuff probably." But yeah, I have had a jackhammer and a chainsaw and a shovel and black plastic in the back of this car as well. And it looked like I was going to murder somebody, but it was just, I had to drop the chainsaw off to a chainsaw place to get serviced, and I had the jackhammer in the back of the car to do something here, and it was just the way it was. But yeah, in Melbourne, if you've got a black Mercedes and you've got a shovel in the back of your car, it has a fairly negative connotation to it. I can assure you of that. Today we also went down to Tolmer Place and had a look at the Makers Market down there. Makers Markets have been always a thing that I've enjoyed going to. Particularly when we lived in Melbourne, my wife was heavily involved in making her own line of children's clothing, and when she puts her mind to something, she actually just does it, and she kind of does it with very little fanfare, but she does it really well. And she ticked that box off. She sold so many articles of children's clothing that were handmade by herself and herself only. That was around the Daylesford area when we lived at Ballarat. There were really good makers markets that were traditional makers rather than people importing stuff from other countries and, you know, putting a sticker on it, which seems to be the way of the world at the minute. We went to the makers market today and there were so many great things there, but we also saw that there was a lot of crap there as well, which was a bit of a disappointment. But you know, the good far outweighed the bad today. As you saw earlier in the video, Ipswich is a real coffee town. It has an incredible array of coffee shops. I didn't take the camera into the coffee shop today on purpose. A little bit weird, you know, taking a camera into those places, but there are so many fantastic coffee places here, and I wasn't a coffee fan until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I thought that coffee was something that just tasted like burnt socks, you know. But I had one day at a place called Rafter and Rose in Ipswich, and if anyone knows that place, they can attest to the fact that the coffee there and in other places in Ipswich is second to none. You know, I've had coffee in Japan, I've had it in New York, and I haven't had it in Melbourne, but I've heard that Ipswich is kind of the place to be for that sort of thing. So yeah, had a bit of coffee this morning as well. So it's been a really good weekend. I'll do a few more things around the place tomorrow, last day before we go back to work. And I'm actually looking forward to going back to work. I'm not one of those people who hate going to work. I kind of like it. There's always a new challenge every day. I'm in the field of medical administration, and it's kind of medical administration with a twist. But from what I've gathered in the past few years that I've been in that particular role, I'm really enjoying it. And the people that you surround yourself with as well are really interesting people as well. They have so many stories to tell. And you know, doctors and anaesthetists and dentists and that sort of thing, they have a really good mindset on things because they've had to be so disciplined in their studies. You know, you see people who are in their mid to late 20s and they're doctors and they've got so many degrees and so on. And I finished my degree when I was 20. I've got a degree in marketing and personnel management. and I vowed never to study again because I didn't really like studying. So I kind of, I think of people that study as having extraordinary discipline. It's something that I could never do, and it's probably because I see that it's really padded out. Like our course at university was for 3 years, and I reckon we really could have done it in a fraction of that time, maybe 9 months, and that's no exaggeration. So yeah, that's me, and doctors, kudos to doctors. But that's all I've got time for tonight. I'll go back in and see what the kids need to do. Get my big autistic boy ready for bed. He usually, comes out around about 9:30, and you just know that it's time to get him ready for bed. And then he has a pretty good night's sleep after that. We've tried all different things, but yeah, getting him ready, getting his shower ready and all that sort of stuff, and he gets ready for bed and has a great night. So I hope to have a great night as well, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.